Icons of sport, the rare few who don't just play the game, they change it. Their influence stretches far beyond the final whistle, beyond the stadium and into sporting history. 3 of football's biggest names. 3 personalities, 3 icons, together for the very first time. Sir David Beckham.
For me personally, my defining moment was being content at the end of my career.
Zlatan Ibrahimović.
I was always on the hunt to demonstrate to everybody who I was.
And Zinedine Zidane.
Plus le match était important, moins j'avais la pression.
Welcome to EA Sports Presents Icons of Football.
To be honest, it always feels great when you're around people that you admire. You know, obviously I played with Zlatan at PSG, played against him, Milan and Inter.
Ajax.
And Ajax, we're going back too far. Let's not go back too far.
When we were young.
Don't let everybody know how old we are. And then obviously, you know, I've always said my affection for Zizou is, I've never played with a better player than this man. And to have played with him, played against him, played with a lot of the best players to have ever played this game. But with Zizou, it's, you know, it's special.
No, pleasure for me to be here. David, I know since before the PSG time. First time I sit with Zinedine Zidane here, which is, I don't need to present him. For me, he's the elegance of football. What he did, what he represents is amazing. And elegance above normality. And I had the pleasure to play against him. But I won this game. I think David was also in that game, the Galacticos, when I was in Juventus.
I don't remember.
We should not go so much back, yeah?
No.
That's what we say. And I had the pleasure to play with David, and was phenomenal. It was your last 6 months. I was happy I could join your last game also, even if I stole the free kick from you.
You stole my free kick.
Yeah, that was
you
that.
stole my free kick.
But I scored.
I was
told
like,
you.
please. I wanted you to miss.
Celebrate with me.
I celebrated.
After the free kick.
I
So we did
celebrated.
that.
I
So
celebrated.
That was okay.
I don't mind.
So thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Moi, je pense qu'aussi c'est un réel plaisir, Zlatan et David, parce que je les connais un petit peu, eux des 3, malheureusement, mais bon, c'est pas bien grave. Mais Zlatan, parce que j'ai jamais eu l'opportunité de pouvoir jouer avec lui, mais de jouer contre lui et avec lui. Donc bon, c'est 2 joueurs qui m'ont toujours fait un football, et on est content de pouvoir passer un petit moment ensemble. C'est la première fois qu'il y a une triplette comme ça. J'espère que tout le monde va prendre du plaisir à ce qu'on va faire ce soir.
I think people are tired of hearing my name after my last month.
No.
But people might think I'm a
I know
villain.
that. We know
you
that.
know, Zizou doesn't know. But after 1 hour with me now, he will feel my heart also. I don't have any secrets.
Je le sens déjà. Je le sens. Même quand je ne suis pas avec toi, je le sens de loin. Parce que tu as un grand cœur, ça se voit.
Thank you.
Sur le terrain et en dehors du terrain.
Merci beaucoup.
But I saw that big heart when I played with you.
Even if I stole the free kick from you?
Even if you stole the free kick from me, the heart wasn't that big that day. But I saw that when I played with you, because the person that you are on the field and off the field, but on the field, even in training, you're a winner, but you care about the teammates, you care about the team. And I'm not sure with me, the only thing that I can say is that I'm very particular and very organized with my preparation for how I play, you know, the things that I used to do before a game, which wasn't much, but I was very organized in everything that I did. I'm a very organized and precise.
I know, from the locker room.
Everything's neat and tidy at home until my wife arrives, and then she starts moving things around. But I think that, you know, with Zizou, I think Zizou's always been a very quiet, very calm, very private person. So I think...
C'est ce que tu penses, David, mais...
So I think he might have something that we don't know about. Maybe 1 or 2 things.
C'est les réseaux sociaux. Je pense que nos carrières, en fait, ont été... Les gens savent ce que l'on est, Je pense qu'il n'y a pas de surprise. Après, c'est vrai qu'après, à la maison, quand on est un peu en famille, c'est différent. On a tous notre intimité. Et heureusement que machin. Par exemple, moi, j'ai des souvenirs qui sont sur route qui était la Copa mondiale. J'ai dormi avec. Alors voilà, les gens ne savent pas ça, mais c'est des trucs de foot dans notre mémoire à nous. Peut-être les gens ne le savent pas, mais en même temps, voilà, c'est des choses qui arrivent et qui sont des grands souvenirs. T'as déjà dormi avec des chaussures?
No, no, I could not
Toi, non,
afford any
Zlatan.
shoes.
I
so-
did. Because sometimes the boots were always brand new. So the night before, I'd wear them
But
to
when
sleep
you were
in.
young or older?
No, older, which is
Okay.
even stranger. I did it at Real Madrid, did it in Manchester. But it was just about wearing the boots in rather than
Okay.
excited.
Avec le maillot de mon idole, Enzo Francescoli. J'ai eu la chance de jouer contre lui, c'était mon idole. Et ce qui était marrant, c'était qu'à l'époque, quand on jouait l'intercontinental, je ne sais pas si vous venez, ça se jouait toujours au Japon. Et on avait joué contre River Plate avec la Juve. Et moi, c'était mon rêve d'avoir le maillot d'Enzo Francescoli. Et une fois que j'avais son maillot de Francescoli, mon rêve, c'était de dormir avec le maillot. Mais j'étais déjà marié avec des enfants. Donc c'est moyen quand même.
Oh, it has been an amazing World Cup. A lot of goals, a lot of culture moments that has been beautiful because that's what football does, connect people from all over the world. Wherever you come from, whoever you are, you're welcome in the sport. And that's what's beautiful with the World Cup, that we get to see different parts of the world in one country. And that is the beautiful with World Cup.
And especially this World Cup being the biggest World Cup ever. You know, all different countries, different cultures coming together, celebrating it, and all of the surprises as well. You know, you look at Capo Verde, you know, the performances were incredible. Senegal, you know, I think all of these surprise performances, you know, the England match against Mexico, that was such a hyped game. We all know that the US, you know, it's not the #1 sport here. But for the last 5 weeks, it's felt like it's the #1 sport, and it has been the #1 sport. And that's the power of the game. It's the power of the game, and it's the power of the World Cup.
Ah ouais, c'est vrai. C'est vrai qu'on a été tous surpris par le niveau de jeu qui était. Je pense que je te rejoins sur le Cap-Vert. C'est vrai que c'est une équipe qui n'a jamais fait ce mondial et qui arrive dans ce mondial avec leur façon de jouer. Et ça a été assez beau à voir. Et c'est vrai qu'on a vu des grands matchs, comme Zlatan a dit. C'est vrai.
But must be special for you because your son played also in the World Cup. So that must have been extra.
En plus de lui, perdre un tribune, c'était génial. On a pris 3 contre Messi, mais c'est pas grave, c'est comme ça. Ça, c'est le football.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
When we were watching the game, we saw the son on the pitch, and I mean, I have 2 boys. They play football, and as an ex-player, you see your son playing the biggest stage in the world. That's, for me, I would even get tears because it's very emotional. It probably would be more emotional than I was playing because it's just special. Just enjoy every minute. So I can imagine what you went through, and I hope one day I will also go through this.
Parce que ça sera spécial pour toi. Petits-enfants.
They're all doing different things. Grandchildren.
Soon.
I can't wait.
And already they're judged before they enter the pitch, which is normal because of the last name. So I try to prepare them for what's coming. Then it's up to them. But I don't oblige them to become something or to do it because I spoke before to Zizou, like they do it for themselves. It's self-discipline. If you don't do it for yourself, you should not do it.
So who was tough with you?
My situation was different because I was in Sweden, but my background is foreign. So I was not a typical Swedish. I came with big nose, brown eyes. Typical Swedish is blonde, blue eyes. So I was not accepted in the system. So I had to go through everything, and to be accepted, I needed to be better than my teammates.
But those difficult moments must have made you what you are today.
Yes, it shaped me and it made me who I am. I did a lot of mistakes, a lot. I did more mistakes than I did good. But you learn more from your mistakes than the success, obviously, because failure is part of the success. And that is what shaped me. And in the end, football won because that's what I did.
I think it worked out okay.
I worked.
at PSG, I've never seen someone train and want to win like you did. I mean, maybe someone like Roy Keane from a young age, just in training every day, wants to win, and you were the same. You was exactly the same. You would like kill people if they were on your team and you lost that five-a-side
I
game.
was not happy.
But that's what it's a winner's mentality.
So we like to win.
Yeah, we do.
We know who the next generation is. I mean, we have the young players. For me, Yamal is special. He turned 19 last week. Already when he was 17, 16, he has been playing like a phenomenal. He already won the European Championship. I think 2 La Liga with Barcelona. Something is special. When you're so young and you're able to do what you do and play the way you play at that age, let's see on Sunday if he can win the World Cup, it will just be one of a kind. I don't know, you, David, you have somebody?
I mean, Jude Bellingham. He's 23 years
done good
old,
also.
young player playing at Real Madrid. And then you look at the likes of Kylian. Kylian is, I still see him, we don't think of him as the young generation, but he is. He's still young, he's been around for a long time, but the way he, plays at these big tournaments. But I think for me, being an Englishman, I look at someone like Jude. He's performed at the highest level and he's played well. He's played well, and in the UK, people love him. And I think Jude came into this World Cup, and I think that he'd had a few injuries last season, so he came in fresh. And I look at a player like him, and I think he's special. I think he's a star. But you become one of the greats by consistency, and if he can continue playing at that level, we look at the greats like Leo and like Cristiano, 2 players that have played at the highest level, not for 5 years, 15 years, and more than 15 years. And Leo is 39 years old, still doing what he's doing, still playing at the level that he's playing. And that's what you have to get to. You have to consistently be great to be great. And I think that's what's important. But you talk about Lamine, you talk about Jude, you talk about Kylian, you talk about Michael Olise, all of these great players that are Dembele, that French squad was Olise.
Mais forcément, de toute façon, c'est vrai qu'il y a tellement de jeunes, et c'est des jeunes joueurs qui ont 19 ans, comme vous parlez, de tous ces joueurs en temps, 21 ans, qui jouent comme quand on jouait dans le quartier, finalement. Et c'est ce qu'on veut voir sur le terrain, finalement. C'était beau, encore une fois, de les voir jouer. C'est vrai qu'on peut parler de Yamal, on peut parler d'Olise, on peut parler d'Mbappé. Tout ce qui nous montre sur le terrain, de toute façon, qui nous font tous rêver quand on regarde les matchs. C'est ça qu'on veut voir. Et on a pris beaucoup de plaisir. Moi, j'ai pris beaucoup de plaisir. Et même ces anciens, parce qu'en fait, c'est ce que tu dis.
But I love what you just said about these young players play like they're back in their neighborhood. They play with no fear. No fear, like they're playing with their friends.
But they need also a coach that allows them to play that way.
Of course.
Because not a lot of coaches allow that, but
No.
I mean, in Lamine's case, he's special. Then you have the French team for me that is like Harlem Globetrotters. Yeah. Just to see them play, it's amazing.
It's beautiful, actually.
Yeah, because normally when you have big stars like that to play together, it's not easy, which you will know now. But to have them all together and make them work, not with the ball, off the ball. Yes. All the big players has delivered. And it was like Messi scored 3, then Mbappe 2, then Haaland 2, and Dembele 2. So every game was like, they were repeating, but there was always one above everybody. That was Messi.
I know.
Ça, c'est ce qu'on faisait dans le quartier quand on faisait notre Coupe du Monde à nous, dans le quartier, avec les copains. Là, on mettait des buts, comme aujourd'hui. Et là, ce que tu dis, c'est ça. C'est-à-dire que c'est des mecs qui marquent 6, 7, 8 buts, 9 buts dans une Coupe du Monde. C'est incroyable. Nous, on le faisait dans le quartier, avec les copains. On marquait 8, 9 buts, pas dans une Coupe du Monde.
Yeah. So it has been a fun World Cup. And if these stars delivers, it's good. Talk about the pressure, talk about the fans.
There's a lot of big games that I played over my career, but I think the game for me that the only game that I ever got nervous in, and it was only for a few minutes, but was the Champions League final. The Champions League final for me, it felt different as a player, and I was young, so. But it's the only game that felt different enough for me to actually have a little bit of nerves before the game. And it was only 2 minutes of nerves. But walking out onto the pitch, that was the moment where I was like, that feeling, I've not felt that before. That's the only time that I've been a little bit nervous.
Je l'avais dit avant, Geoffrey, que j'ai jamais trop eu de pression, je dormais très bien la nuit, je dormais très bien le jour du match. C'est la réalité de toute façon, mais parce que j'avais qu'une hâte, c'est d'être sur le terrain et c'est ce que tu disais toi, Zlatan, c'est-à-dire que tu avais envie de montrer que tu faisais partie du foot. Et donc, moi, j'avais pas trop de pression.
Even the World Cup final?
Au contraire, c'est-à-dire plus le match était difficile, plus le match était important, moins j'avais la pression. Moi, la pression, je l'avais quand je jouais des petits matchs. Parce que les petits matchs, il fallait être bon, et de temps en temps, ça n'arrivait pas. Et de temps en temps, ça n'arrivait pas d'être bon. Mais les gros matchs, plus les gros matchs arrivaient, et plus c'était tranquille.
I think I'm going to change my answer. I was never nervous. I
I have to say, I didn't feel nervous because I was fully focused, but I put images in my head how the game would look like because I had super confidence and I knew what I had to do when I come on the pitch to do it good. And so I was super focused, boosting my adrenaline, obviously under control because you don't want to lose it. And then when I came on the pitch, I switch on. I become a different person.
I can't see you being nervous.
No, I get pumped. I get pumped, very pumped. And I look forward to play the game and to get the duels, to feel the heat. That is what I miss today. That feeling. But nervous, no. I would not say nervous. More preparation, putting these images in my head, what will happen. Smash 2-3 players, score 2-3 goals. But I enjoyed. Listen, I had fun. That is the most important.
Pré-mondial, 98. Ma vie a changé là. Clairement. Non seulement footballistique, ma vie de tous les jours. C'est-à-dire que de passer d'une personne qui vit normalement à avoir des difficultés après à sortir, parce que c'est vrai que gagner un mondial, ça change une vie, quoi. Vraiment.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine. Imagine winning the World Cup for your country.
Dans le pays.
I'm from Sweden. I cannot even imagine. So I have to stay low profile. I'm just happy
But I'm
to
not even sure
anticipate in the World Cup. Being there is like a magic moment or miracle for me. So I cannot imagine, David. You have to imagine.
I look through my career and defining moments are, I could look at, after the 98 World Cup, I had a tough few years. And coming back from that disappointment, that could be a defining moment. Coming back from injuries, defining moment. But I think ultimately my defining moment really came at the end of my career when I finished playing. The defining moment was me being content with what I'd done in my career. The teams I'd played with, the players I'd played with, the different cultures that I'd been around, and have no regrets. And of course I made mistakes. We all make mistakes in our careers. But I think when I made the mistake that I did in 1998, it was about how I returned from that. It's how I come back from that. And I think people would say maybe that's my defining moment. But for me personally, my defining moment was being content at the end of my career.
For me, it's continuity. I challenged myself to bring my backpack to different countries, different clubs to show who I am. So I was always on the hunt to demonstrate to everybody who I was. And that was I was not afraid of a challenge. That's why I changed many times clubs. And to be honest, I felt I did good everywhere, except I had a difficult period in Barcelona. But continuity, I believe, was my strength, not 1 year and then I disappeared. And I was lucky because I played until 43. something like that, 44. So I would say that describes my legacy.
Quand vous gagnez une fois, quand on gagne une fois, ça vous donne envie de regagner. Moi, à la Juve, ça n'existait pas, ça. À la Juve, en fait, c'était gagner, gagner, gagner. Ce qu'ils veulent, en général, c'est gagner des choses, gagner des titres.
Zizou played in Juventus, I played, and I know the mentality there. It's like, I remember a story, we were in the shower, and we took shower, and I remember the water was going up from the shower. And I went to Moji, and I said, Moji, but this training facility is not level of Juventus. And he said, remember, you're not here to have it good, you're here to win. So I understood very fast, if I don't win here, I will not stay here. So every time I won, I was never satisfied. I was always looking for the next one to win. But my problem was I didn't enjoy when I was winning. It made me more hungry to win more. And if you ask me if I enjoy today what I win, I'm not sure, because I'm still that person that wants more.
But that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
I don't know,
when
because
you
I have
win,
nothing to win now, David.
you're winning. Trust me, you're winning. But that was what Sir Alex Ferguson, after the Champions League final, after we won the treble, he turned round to us in the morning and he said, everybody have a good night? And we was like, yeah, it was a great night. And he said, okay, now we go again. We're going to do the same next year. You won the Champions League this year. You won the Premier League this year. But next year you go again and you need to win it again. And I think with that, the lessons that I've learned, it's about resilience. Resilience was a big thing for us. Perseverance, dedication, hard work. And all of that came from, firstly, it came from my parents, my dad. So we went through all of that, and it was all about respect for the club, respect for the trophies that we're playing, respect for your teammates, dedication, hard work, resilience, patience. But that's what I learned. Growing up, who was your hero?
I have Ronaldo Phenomenal as a hero, which you both played with. For me was, I feel when you have a player and you go out and train and you copy what the player does, that means he is football.
Alors là, je te rejoins. Hein.
Yeah,
Ronaldo le Brésilien, je te rejoins.
And I remember I was on the same time when we
Yeah.
played against you guys, and I was like watching him, and I was like,
Incredible.
something is
Incredible.
odd here.
Comme quand il faisait comme ça. Marquer des buts.
It was special. But
Très
then you had
spécial.
on the same page Zizou, David, Roberto Carlos, Ronaldo. Oh my God, Figo. It was PlayStation.
Yeah.
To be honest, it was PlayStation.
It was like PlayStation when we first Manchester United against Juventus. And this was like prime, like you couldn't get the ball off of him. You couldn't go near him. You like every time you tried, you couldn't, because you couldn't get anywhere near Zizou. And it was like Manchester. And I just remember after that game thinking, how do I get anywhere near that level? If you're asking me if I was ever starstruck in a game before the game and then after game, it was with Zizou, because he did things and the way he played and the way, just everything that he did was special. Everything.
T'es trop gentil avec moi, David.
But it's true.
No, it's
been
so
that.
true, exactly. We enjoyed, and no, it's special. For me, it was elegance.
The Godfather.
Elegance. Yeah, but the elegance was different.
Il y avait du niveau, il y avait du niveau. Toi, c'était bien d'avoir joué avec toi. C'est le football, en fait, c'est ce qu'on aime faire. Et ça se sentait sur le terrain. Quand on était sur le terrain, on était joyeux, on était heureux. C'est ce que tu disais tout à l'heure, Zlatan. Dire le entraîneur, parce que je veux continuer à prendre du plaisir, à les voir, en fait, devant moi, les joueurs. Et c'est presque, c'est la continuité de ce que j'ai fait moi quand j'étais sur le terrain. C'est pour ça que j'ai fait entraîneur. C'est pas pour dire je vais continuer à faire ceci ou ça. C'est pour continuer à avoir des joueurs, des beaux joueurs.
Not any coach. A coach that has won the Champions League 3 times in a row.
It's crazy. Also, as a player,
See?
I didn't win Champions League, so this is your discussion. I'm out of the Champions League because I didn't win it, so I cannot talk for it.
Les joueurs que j'avais. Et c'est pour ça, et j'ai transmis ce que moi, j'avais, la passion que j'avais. Et il y a eu quelque chose qui s'est passé. Mais il faut d'abord, pour ça, avoir des joueurs. Les joueurs, ils étaient à Madrid, ils ont toujours été là. Simplement, la victoire. Alt level, comment on dit, David?
It's quite funny because there's some young kids that come up to me and say, "Oh, you're the guy from the front cover. I know you. Just see you in the Miami."
All over the world, not only the front cover of.
I know, but a lot of these young kids that sit in their room playing PlayStation, they come up to me and they're like, "Oh, you're the guy from the cover. I know you. Don't you? You know, the one with the suit." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." And my kids are quite proud of it as well. They're like, "Dad, you know, you're in the team." I'm like, "Of course I'm in the team. Why would I not be in your team? You're my son. You should pick me every time." So I like it.
No, I'm a little bit not so happy because my ratings are not so high. Because the ratings is from
Mine
my
could be
end
a
of my
little bit-
career.
mine
So
could
I
be
have
a
my
little bit
son,
more.
he's like, "Papa, your pace is too low." And I'm like, "Okay, you cannot even reach the half line." I'm like, "Okay, something is wrong there." Because half line I could reach.
You were fast.
Yeah. I remember people come up and they say, "You're in the game, I always play with you." Then always talk about the ratings. So my two boys are playing a lot. But it's funny. If they didn't enjoy you in real time in the stadiums, they enjoy you in the game.
C'est la combinaison de pouvoir dire, en fait, je peux jouer avec Zlatan aujourd'hui dans un jeu et avec David. Alors que je ne pouvais pas le faire à un moment donné, on n'a jamais joué ensemble. Donc de pouvoir dire 30 ans après, on est toujours là. Et pour la nouvelle génération, c'est que du plaisir. Et les jeux font partie de la jeunesse.
I don't
You look
change.
the
I'm
same.
always the same.
You look the same.
The same.
You look the same.
Thank you.
Big moment. Big
Ooh,
moment.
big moment.
Very big moment.
I told you his English is perfect.
Avec David.
Big moment.
This was a beautiful goal.
Not a big moment.
Non.
No. Apart from playing for England. This is a big moment. This is
Yeah.
my debut for
Okay.
England.
Ah oui, ça,
That's my debut for England. 21.
très bien.
You made your debut when you were 21 in
Yeah.
the first team. Okay, nice. This is history.
Le seul conseil, en fait, et j'ai toujours gardé le même, en fait, c'est-à-dire, vous pouvez avoir le meilleur, en fait, vous pouvez pas... Donc, le conseil aujourd'hui à tous les jeunes, c'est le travail. C'est travailler pour pouvoir progresser et être le meilleur sur le terrain.
I have two rules in my life. It's discipline and respect. That is what I try to teach my kids, or I teach them, and I hopefully they follow, which they're doing. They're good boys. And it's same in the football world. If you don't have discipline, you will not arrive. I'm a living proof of that, because the conditions I came from, if I would not have the discipline, I would not even sit here with legends. I would not even do what I'm doing today. So for me, for whoever out there, discipline, and then follow up with respect.
I agree with both of you. I think that, you know, discipline and respect. And then I think what Zizou said is, you know, the talent gets you in the room, but what keeps you in the room is hard work. And I think that's the most important thing to do. And if I was giving any advice to young players that are playing in the World Cup final, enjoy this moment, because it doesn't happen to many players.
Nice, David.
Thank you, Zizou.
That was a beautiful way to win.
Merci, monsieur.
Winning in a home country. Thank you.
Very nicely done, gentlemen.
Sir David Beckham, Zlatan Ibrahimović, Zinedine Zidane, thank you. It has been so special hearing these stories and perspectives that have truly changed the game. And thank you for listening to the first ever EA Sports Presents Icons of Football. Be sure to follow EA Sports for more.